Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams to all the devotees. Thank you all for joining in for our study session today. Today we are continuing with Srimad Bhagavad Gita. We'll start with the prayers. Om Jnanatirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padhaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Dushe Namaha Admakam Krishnam Bhakti Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakti Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Taralye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Mande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tatsat. Hare Krishna, Danut Pranams to all the devotees. Thank you all for joining in for our Bhagavad Gita study session today. We are on chapter number 10, the opulence of the Absolute. So yesterday we discussed the first two shlokas of the Chatur Shloki Bhagavad Gita. We discussed Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo Mataha Sarvam Pravartate Iti Matva Vajante Mam Buddha Bhava Samanvitaha, where Krishna himself is telling that Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo Mataha Sarvam Pravartate. I am the origin of the material and the spiritual worlds. Mata Sarvam Pravartate, everything emanates from me. Then Aham Sarvasya Prabho Mata Sarvam Pravartate Iti Matva Bhajanti Mam. Whoever has understood this, Bhajanti Mam, will start engaging in devotional service. Iti Matva Bhajanti Mam Buddha Bhava Samanvitaha. Such an intelligent person who has understood this will worship me with all their hearts. Then Machitta Madgata Prana Bodhayanta Parasparam Kathayantasya Mam Nityam Tushyanti Cha Ramanti Cha. Machitta Madgata Prana. We saw sorry, what is this? Yeah, Matchitta, right? Yesterday we discussed. What are those four things that Krishna is asking us to do? Matchitta Madgata Prana Bodhayanta Parasparam Kathayantasya Mam Nityam Tushyanti Cha Ramanti Cha. Matchitta Madgata Prana. Taking me, Krishna is saying, taking me as a life and soul, they always remember me. Matchitta Madgata Prana Bodhayanta Parasparam. Bodhayanta Parasparam means they relish hearing about me and talking about me amongst the devotee community. And Kathayantasya Mam Nityam, they discuss my pastimes, and in this way, what do? Tushyanti Cha Ramanti Cha. They thoroughly enjoy discussing about my pastimes, glorifying me, chanting my holy names. So in this way, Krishna is saying, these are the activities of the devotees of the Lord. What do? Machittam, always thinking of Krishna, remembering Krishna, speaking about Krishna, hearing about Krishna. And in this way, they relish every minute speaking and hearing about the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then the next two verses that we're going to do today, 10.1 10 and 10.11, the last two verses of the Chaturshloki of the Bhagavad Gita, here Krishna is going to again say, what do these people do? What do my devotees do? And then the fourth verse, he is going to tell, what am I going to do? How am I going to reciprocate with such devotees? So let's do it. 10.10 and 10.11. Let me share my screen. Okay, 10.10. Vrishabhanu Kanya Mataji, go ahead. Please read it.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavad Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Tesam satatayuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadhami buddhi yogam tam yena mama upayanti te. Synonyms. Tesam, unto them. Satyuktam, always engaged. Bhajantam, in rendering devotional service. Priti Purvakam, in loving ecstasy. Dadami, I give. Buddhi Yogam, real intelligence. Tam, that. Yena, by which. Mama, unto me. Upayanti, come. Te, they. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Purport. In this verse, the word Buddhi Yogam is very significant. We may remember that in second chapter, the Lord, instructing Arjun, said that he had spoken to him of many things and that he would instruct him in the way of Buddhi Yoga. Now, Buddhi Yoga is explained. Buddhi Yoga itself is action in Krishna consciousness. That is the highest intelligence. Buddhi means intelligence and Yogi means mystic activities or mystic elevation. When one tries to go back home, back to Godhead, and takes fully to Krishna consciousness in devotional service, his action is called Buddhi Yoga. In other words, Buddhi Yoga is the process by which one gets out of the entanglement of this material world. The ultimate goal of progress is Krishna. People do not know this. Therefore, the association of devotee and a bona fide spiritual master are important. One should know that the goal is Krishna, and when the goal is assigned, then the path is slowly but progressively traversed and the ultimate goal is achieved. When a person knows the goal of life but is addicted to the fruits of activities, he is acting in karma yoga. When he knows that the goal is Krishna, but he takes pleasure in mental speculations to understand Krishna, he is acting in Gnana Yoga. And when he knows the goal and seeks Krishna completely in Krishna consciousness and devotional service, he is acting in Bhakti Yoga or Buddhi Yoga, which is the complete yoga. This complete yoga is the highest perfectional stage of life. A person may have a bona fide spiritual master and may be attached to a spiritual organization, but if he is still not intelligent enough to make progress, then Krishna from within gives him instructions so that he may ultimately come to him without a difficulty. The qualification is that a person always engage himself in Krishna consciousness and with love and devotional render all kinds of services. He should perform some sort of work for Krishna, and that work should be with love. If a devotee is not intelligent enough to make progress on the path of self-realization, but is sincere and devoted to the activities of devotional service, the Lord gives him a chance to make progress and ultimately attain to him. Hare Krishna, Dandavad
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna. Thank you. Yeah. To love means to serve, and to serve means to please. Right? We cannot love someone, but we don't do any service to them. Right? I love you, but I'm not doing anything for you. Right? That's not love. Right? That's only saying. Right? But our actions are not showing that we are actually loving that person. Right? So similarly, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj also says this: to love means to serve. Right? If we love somebody, we need to find time to serve that person in a way that satisfies that person. And to serve and to means to also please them. That means what? They should be happy with the service that we are doing. It's not that we like to serve them. We serve them in the way that we like. No. When we have to serve, we serve in a way that is pleasing to the other person. Right? That's why Krishna also tells here, what are the ways by which we can become dear to Krishna? Because we want to serve Krishna We want to become dear to Krishna. So we follow the instructions of Lord Krishna himself and do our work in the consciousness as prescribed by Lord Shri Krishna. Mat chitta mad gata prana or manmana bhava mad bhakto mad yaji mam namaskuru. Perform all your activities thinking about me. That is the instruction of Krishna. So if you have to please Krishna, then what we should do? As we are performing our work, ma manusmara yudhya cha, Krishna tells Arjuna, right? And it's instruction to us. Through Arjuna, it is instruction to us. So what are we supposed to do? As we are performing our activities of this material world, we are supposed to remember Krishna. We are supposed to perform exclusive devotional service, early morning, bhakti yoga. And then the rest of the day, we whatever activities we do as part of our swadharma, we do those activities for the pleasure of the Lord. That becomes karma yoga, right? Karma yoga means we are not attached to the fruits of the activities. We are performing activities according to our swadharma, but we are doing those activities for the pleasure of the Lord, or we are dedicating the results of the activities for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So to love means to serve, and service is the dharma of the soul, right? Just like sugar's dharma is sweetness, right? We cannot separate sweetness from sugar, right? If we talk about sweetness, then sugar has to be there. Or when we talk about sugar, sweetness has to come into the picture, isn't it? So like that, when we talk about the soul, when we talk about a jiva, then automatically what has to come? Service has to come into the picture. So that's why Prabhupada says, either you serve God or you serve dog. Serving you have to do. You have to serve, because it's your constitutional position is to serve. Right? You are your constitutional position is to be the servant of the Supreme Lord. So serve you have to. But whether you're going to serve Lord and in this way perfect your life, or you're going to serve dog. Right? What is dog? Everything other than God is dog. That means either you may serve your senses, you may serve your family, you may serve your country, you may serve your community, but all of that will result in frustration. Why? Because none of that will give satisfaction to the soul. But if we engage in service of the Lord, then we will also be satisfied, because we are pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose amshas we are. Right? So on that note, let's go on to the next verse. Next verse is very, very wonderful. Right? We are talking about serving Krishna, but it is very wonderful. The Lord says, I only remove the intelligence. I only give you. We all know, right? Our body is made up of earth, water, fire, and ether, which are all chemicals which have been created by the Supreme Lord. We have our senses, our hands, our legs, our mind, our intelligence, right? Our tongue, etc. Everything is also given by the Supreme Lord. It's not that we own anything. But what is the one thing we own? The one thing that we own is our desire, right? Whether we want to serve ourselves with the resources given by the Lord, or whether we want to reciprocate with the Lord, be grateful to the Lord, and engage in the service of the Lord. And if we do that, then Krishna is saying here, I will give the intelligence by which you can come back to me, right? And that is the perfection of the human form of life. So let's read the last shloka of this Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita 10.11. Yeah, hold read. Karpakavali Mataji, go ahead.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Text 11. Tesam iva anukampartam
Eshamevanukampartam aham ajnanajam tamaha
aham ajnantam tamaha nasayami
nashayami atmabhavasto
atmabhavasto
jnanadipena bhasvata.
Jnana Bhasvata. Thank you, Mataji. Synonyms, Kesam, for them, Iva, certainly, Anukampa, Artham, to show special mercy, Aham, I, Ajnanajam, due to ignorance, Tamaha, darkness, Asayami, dispel, Atma Bhava, within their hearts, Sa, situated, Jnana, of knowledge, deepen with the lamp, Bhasvata, glowing. Translation, to show them, translation by Prabhupada Kijay, to show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge in the darkness born of ignorance. Purport, when Lord Chaitanya was in Benares, promulgating the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, thousands of people were following him. Prakasananda Saraswati, a very influential and learned scholar in Banaras at that time, derided Lord Chaitanya for being a sentimentalist. Sometimes Mayavadi philosophers criticize the devotees because they think that most of the devotees are in the darkness of ignorance and are philosophically naive sentimentalists. Actually, that is not the fact. They are very, very learned scholars who have put forth the philosophy of devotion. But even if a devotee does not take advantage of their literatures or his spiritual or of his spiritual master, if he is sincere in his devotional service, he is held by Krishna himself within his heart. So the sincere devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness cannot be cannot be Mataji, cannot
Yes,
be
Mataji.
without knowledge. Cannot be without knowledge. The only qualification is that one carry out devotional service in full Krishna consciousness. The Mayavadi philosophers think that without discriminating, one cannot have pure knowledge. For them, this answer is given by the Supreme Lord. Those who are engaged in pure devotional service, even though they may be without a sufficient education and even without sufficient knowledge of the Vedic principles, are still held by the Supreme God as stated in this verse. The Lord tells Arjuna that basically there is no possibility of understanding the Supreme Truth, the absolute truth, the supreme personality of God, simply by speculating for the supreme truth. Simply by speculating for the supreme truth is so great that it is not possible to understand him or to achieve him simply by making a mental effort. Man can go on speculating several millions of years, and if he is not devoted, if he is not lover of the supreme truth, he will never understand Krishna or the supreme truth. Only by devotion service is the supreme truth, Krishna pleased, and by his inconceivable energy, he can reveal himself to the heart of the pure devotee. The pure devotee always has Krishna within his heart, and with the presence of Krishna, who is just like the sun, the darkness of ignorance is at once dissipated. This is a special mercy rendered to the pure devotee by Krishna. Due to the contamination of material association, through many, many millions of births, one's heart is always covered with the dust of materialism. But when one engages in devotional service and constantly chants Hare Krishna, the dust quickly clears and one is elevated to the platform of pure knowledge. The ultimate goal, Vishnu, can be attained only by his chant and by devotional service, and not by mental speculation or argument. A pure devotee does not have to worry about the material necessities of life. He need not be anxious because when he removes the darkness from his heart, everything is provided automatically by the Supreme Lord, who is pleased by his loving devotional service of the devotee. This is the essence of the teaching of Bhagavad Gita. By studying Bhagavad Gita, one can become a soul completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord and engage himself in pure devotional service. As the Lord takes charge, one becomes completely free from all kinds of materialistic endeavors. Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah, it's a very beautiful verse wherein Krishna is saying, I provide the intelligence by which you can come to me. Aham ajnana jamtamaha. Ajnana means jnana timirandasya jnananjana shalakaya. I was born in the darkest of ignorance. Right? That means ignorance means no knowledge of the Shastras, no knowledge of what to do, what not to do, how to do, no knowledge. So that is ajnana state. That is ajnana state. Ajnana means ignorance, state of ignorance. So Krishna is saying here, aham ajnana jamtamaha. I will destroy the ignorance that is there in your heart. How? By lighting the lamp of transcendental knowledge. Jnana deepena bhashvataha. I will light the lamp of transcendental knowledge, and in this way, I will destroy the ignorance with the shining lamp of knowledge. Right? This is Krishna's promise to us. Several verses Krishna has actually quoted or spoken in Bhagavad Gita, which will enable us to immediately surrender to Krishna and trust Krishna. Right? If we surrender to Krishna and trust Krishna's words, then it becomes easy for us to develop our loving relationship with the Lord. So what it takes is merely some amount of faith, and then we engage in the process of bhakti, and then it increases our faith slowly but surely, isn't it? In that way, when we engage in the process of devotional service with a little bit of faith in the association of devotees, then what happens? We do all of these things. As we are doing all of these things, then suddenly we realize that we don't know how come we are able to completely have trust in Krishna. How come we have completely surrendered to Krishna? Why? Because Krishna has given us that knowledge by which we can go back to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in this way, Krishna is saying, you take one step, I will take millions of steps towards you. right? Don't be anxious. What is that? Ma shuchaha, do not worry, right? You simply do your duty. That means follow the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, study Bhagavad Gita, render service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, perform your work, don't be attached to the results of the work, and work in such a way for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this way, what will happen? You will develop your unalloyed love for me, right? And I will destroy the ignorance, and in this way, you will also be equipped with proper bhakti jnana. You will be equipped with proper knowledge which will enable you to advance in devotional service. And that is what is the promise given by Krishna here. Okay, next let's move forward to text 12 and 13. So this Arjuna has heard all these four important verses from Lord Shri Krishna. Now Arjuna is telling Krishna that I am so happy that you mentioned all of this to me, but I knew this already. Why? Because not only what you are telling me now, I'm not hearing it for the first time, because I've already heard this from various rishis, like Ahuswam Rishi, Sarve, Dev Rishi, Naradastadha. I've heard it from several rishis like Naradamani, etc. And now you're also telling this to me. I'm completely convinced. Right? Arjuna was never not convinced. Arjuna was always convinced. But then for Nitya Baddha, right? Arjuna is Nitya Siddha. He's eternally in the association of the Supreme Lord. He has also come down to participate in the pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna. But Nitya Baddha means what? We are all conditioned. We are conditioned to this particular body. We are conditioned by this body, and we've taken this body. We assume this body because of our past karma and desires and activities. So in this way, when we purify our desires, then we will not get another material body, right? What is that? Mameti so Arjuna, right? Krishna says, at the end of this life, you will not take birth again in this world, you will attain my abode, O Arjuna. So now Arjuna is reiterating, right? This is what even good teachers do. Right, after the class, what do teachers do? They ask the students to tell, okay, what have you understood? Let me see how much you've understood, right? So in that way, Arjuna is actually revealing his understanding in front of Krishna after having heard the Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita from Arjuna and from Krishna. So let's see what Arjuna says. Rajneesh Prabhu, go ahead. 10.11 and 12. 10.12 and 13. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Dandavata. Param Brahma Param Dhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purusham Shashvatam Divya Madhi Devam Ajam
Adi Devam Ajam Vibhum.
Aho Swam Rishya Sarve Devarshir Nartasatha Asito Devalo Vyasa Swam Chaiva Pravite. Arjun said, Pranam, Supreme, Brahma, Truth, Param, Supreme, Dhamma, Substance, Savitram, Pure, Paramam, Supreme, Bhavan, You, Purusham, Personality, Sasvatam, Eternal, Divyam, Transcendental, Adi Devam, the original Lord, Ajam, unborn, Vibhum, greatest, Ahu, say, Swam of you, Rasaha, sages, Sarve, all, Deva Rishis, he says among the demigods, Narda, Narad, Tataha, also, Asita, and
Asitaha Devalaha Vyasaha.
Devala, Vyasa, Swayam, personally, Ka, also, Eva, certainly, Brevisi, you are explaining me unto me. Translation. Arjun said, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. All the great sages such as Narada, Akta, Devala, and Vyasa confirm this truth about you, and now you yourself are declaring it to be. But
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. We'll ask Sudha Mataji to read the purport. Yeah. Sudha Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. In these two verses, the Supreme Lord gives a chance to the Mayavad philosopher, for here it is clear that the Supreme is different from the individual soul. Arjuna, after hearing the essential 4 verses of Bhagavad Gita in this chapter, became completely free from all doubts and accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He at once boldly declares, you are Param Brahma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And previously, Krishna stated that he is the originator of everything and everyone. Every demigod and every human being is dependent on him. Men and demigods, out of ignorance, think that they are absolute and independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That ignorance is removed perfectly by the discharge of devotional service. This has already been explained in the previous verse by the Lord. Now, by his grace, Arjuna is accepting him as a supreme truth in concordance with the Vedic injunction. It is not that because Krishna is Arjuna's intimate friend, Arjuna is flattering him by calling him the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the absolute truth. Whatever Arjuna says in these 2 verses is confirmed by Vedic truth. Vedic injunctions affirm that only one who takes to devotional service to the Supreme Lord can understand him, whereas others cannot. Each and every word of this verse spoken by Arjuna is confirmed by Vedic injunction. In the Kena Upanishad, it is stated that the Supreme Brahman is a rest for everything, and Krishna has already explained that everything is resting on him. The Mundaka Upanishad confirms that the Supreme Lord, in whom everything is resting, can be realized only by those who engage constantly in thinking of him. This constant thinking of Krishna is Smarana, one of the methods of devotional service. It is only by devotional service to Krishna that one can understand his position and get rid of this material body. In the Vedas,
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you,
Shri
Mataji.
Priya,
Okay,
go ahead.
Hare
Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, pranams.
Hare Bol. Pranam.
In the Vedas, the Supreme Lord is accepted as the purest of the pure. One who understands that Krishna is the purest of the pure can become purified from all sinful activities. One cannot be disinfected from sinful activities unless he surrenders unto the Supreme Lord. Arjuna's acceptance of Krishna as a supreme pure compiles with the injunctions of the Vedic literature. This is also confirmed by the great personalities of whom Narada is the chief. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and one should always meditate upon him and enjoy one's transcendental relationship with him. He is supreme existence. He is free from the bodily needs, birth, and death. Not only does Arjuna confirms this, but all the Vedic literatures, the Puranas, and histories. In all Vedic literatures, Krishna is thus described. The Supreme Lord himself also says in the 4th chapter, although I am unborn, I appear on this earth to establish religious principles. He is supreme origin. He has no cause, for he is the cause of all causes, and everything is emanating from him. This perfect knowledge can be had by the grace of the Supreme Lord. Here, Arjuna expresses himself through the grace of Krishna. If we want to understand Bhagavad Gita, we should accept the statement in these 2 verses. It is called the Parampara system, acceptance of the disciplic succession. Unless one is in a disciple succession, he cannot understand Bhagavad Gita. It is not possible by so-called academic education. Unfortunately, those proud of their academic education, despite so much evidence in Vedic literatures, stick to their obstinate conviction that Krishna is an ordinary person. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamidhi Samahatmasu Durlabha. Very, very difficult for somebody to actually accept that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why? Because we are envious about people. We are envious because the Lord is also having two-armed form. Right? We were discussing the other day how we are not envious of somebody who's very, very advanced in wealth or in knowledge or in skills. Right? We don't compare ourselves with Bill Gates. We don't compare ourselves with Mukesh Ambani, right? We don't compare ourselves with what is this, Shah Rukh Khan, right? We don't compare ourselves with Amitabh Bachchan. Whom do we compare ourselves with? We compare ourselves with our neighbor. What car he has got, what car I have got, what skills he has got, or we compare ourselves with our colleagues. Why he is getting promotion, why I am not getting promotion, right? So our comparison is where we identify something with that other person. And we think that we can also get that position. Why we should not get that position, right? That envy comes only in the close circles. right? Envy doesn't, we never feel envious of somebody who's so much in advance, whether it's in wealth or knowledge or beauty or renunciation or whatever, right? Why? Because we are not envious of the Supreme Lord, Vishnu, right? Because Vishnu has two forearms, right? Shankar Chakra Gada Padma is holding. So we are not envious of Vishnu. Prabhupada tells in one of his lectures. But we are envious of Krishna. Why? Because Krishna is walking around like a normal human being, right? When he is born and when he is appeared in Vrindavan Dham, he is just playing with his cowherd boys. He is drinking the juta of his friends. He is drinking buttermilk, etc. Right? But we don't understand the greatness of the Lord. That's why we want to imitate the Lord, right? People, that's why they directly go to the, Prabhupada tells in the lecture that people directly go to the Vrindavan pastimes of the Lord, right? Where Krishna is engaging in lovely pastimes with the gopis and the gopas, etc. Right? But when the moment we jump into the sweetness of the Lord without understanding the greatness of the Lord through the proper parampara system, then it is not possible to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? The Lord will cover himself with the Yoga Maya, and then what we will do, we will think that, okay, let me also imitate the Lord. Okay, the Lord did this, let me also imitate the Lord. But when we have proper understanding of the greatness of the Lord, that is received through a proper bona fide disciplic succession, through the Guru Sishya Parampara, then we can properly understand Bhagavad Gita. We can understand that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. I have to follow the instructions of Krishna, not that I want to imitate Lord Sri Krishna, right? And how does Krishna's instruction come to us? Krishna's instruction comes to us through the bona fide spiritual master, through the proper parampara system. And that is what is given here, right? People have this obstinate conviction Krishna is not the person. However, when we try to understand Krishna through a bona fide spiritual master, then we will be able to understand Krishna as he is, right? So, let's move forward. Text number 14. We will end with this verse today. Let's see text number 14. Monica Mataji can read the verse. Oh, sorry. Monimala Mataji can read the verse and the synonyms and translation, and Sindhu Mataji can read the purport. Yes, go ahead, Mataji. Monimala Mataji, text number 14.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Sarvam etat ritam ne yat mam Keshava nahi te Bhagavan Bhaktim Vidur Devana Danava. Sarvam, all etat, this, ritam, truth, manya, except, yat, which, mam, unto me, Padashi, you tell, Keshava, O Krishna, na, never, certainly, te, your, Bhagavan, O personality of Godhead, Bhakti, revelation, Vidu, can, O, Deva, the demigods, na, nor, Danava, the demons. Translation by Prabhupada ki jai. O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Neither the gods nor demons, O Lord, know thy personality. Can I continue, Mataji?
Sindhu Mataji can read the purport.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Pranams, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Pranam.
10.14. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Arjuna herein confirms that persons of faithless and demoniac nature cannot understand Krishna. He is not known even by the demigods. So what to speak of the so-called scholars of this modern world? By the grace of the Supreme Lord, Arjuna has understood that the Supreme Truth is Krishna and that he is the perfect one. One should therefore follow the path of Arjuna. He received the authority of Bhagavad Gita as described in the 4th chapter, the Parampara system of disciplic succession for the understanding of Bhagavad Gita was lost, and therefore Krishna re-established the disciplic succession with Arjuna because he considered Arjuna his intimate friend and a great devotee. Therefore, as stated in our introduction to Gita Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita should be understood in the Parampara system. When the Parampara system was lost, Arjuna was selected to regenerate it. The acceptance by Arjuna of all that Krishna says should be emulated. Then we can understand the essence of Bhagavad Gita, and then only can we understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Right? And what is that verse? Bhunam Janmanamante Jnanaman Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatmasu Durlabha. Very, very rare. It is very, very difficult to understand Krishna as he is, except by way of hearing from a bona fide authority about Lord Sri Krishna. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult to understand Krishna one tries to, if one relies on one's own mental speculation or one's own material brain, right, we cannot understand Krishna. Rupa Goswami tells that in Bhakti Rasamrta Sindhu, Atha Sri Krishna Namadi na bhavet grahim indriyahi. It is not possible to understand the Supreme Lord by our senses. However, sevon mukhehi jivata swayameva suratyadaha. If we engage our senses in the service of the Lord, then it becomes easy for us to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. So tomorrow is Friday, so we'll continue with the 10.15. And in this week, we've already posted the 2 verses that we have to meditate on, 9.34 and 10.8. Next week, we'll do 10.9, 10.9 and 10.10. The next week, we'll do 10.11, 10.12, 13. So in that way, we'll continue. All right. And by the time we would have reached 12th chapter, 12th chapter is so many verses we need to study in the 12th chapter, because that's entitled Bhakti, right? The devotional service. So then we'll have important verses in chapter 12. Then chapter 13, we'll have chapter 14, we'll have so many verses. And then 15.15, 15.7, so many verses. So we would have at least studied about 20-30 verses by the time we complete about this round of study of Bhagavad Gita. And then probably Krishna willing, we'll take up the Krishna book, right? So let's quickly do Harinam Sankirtan, and then we will see who are all there, and then we will conclude our session today. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Akritya Peshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivastava Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Jagannath Baladeva Jaya Subhadrama Jaya Sudarshana Jaya Balagopal Jaya Radha Madhav Jai Shri Radha Shama Sundar Jaya Radha Ras Bihari Radha Govinda Radha Gopinatha Radha Madan Mohan Radhe 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 Jaya Radhe Radhe Jaya Radhe Radhe Jaya Shad Goswami Jaya Guru Parampara Jai Prabhupada Jaya Guru Devani Jai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Jagat Guru Shri Prabhupada Shri Gurudev ki jai, Anant Gauri Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Nidhai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. So I see Karpagauli Mataji, Shobha Mataji, Sridhar Prabhu, Rajneesh Prabhu, Anusha Mataji, and her little son. Nice to see you. Harjeet Mataji, Munimala Mataji, Sindhu Mataji, Shri Priya Sampath Mataji, and all the devotees. Thank you very much for joining in. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namanandapati Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Shri Gurudev ki jai. Granth Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much. I don't see any hand up, so I believe everybody's understood everything, and probably everybody is happy that we are finishing our class on time also today. So thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada Shri Gurudev ki jai. Anantaguri Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. So meet you all tomorrow morning, 5 o'clock for the Brahma Muhurta chanting session, and then at 12:30 p.m. as we continue with chapter number 10.